All right, what's up? It's a pretty rainy day. It's currently 3:19 p.m. on a Monday, and we're going to start off the week with this YouTube video. This video is going to be about fitness related stuff. So if you don't want to watch this, get out of here. But if you don't know who I am, my name's Eric Trin, and I've been lifting for 5 years, and I've been able to reach my dream physique at 17 years old through the mindset shifts and consistency that I've been able to do, the systems that I have. But I want to talk about one of the things that stopped me the most, and this correlates to literally any goal you have. If you're an ambitious person, if you know you have huge goals, you know you want to get to a certain place in your life, that guy that makes the most money, the guy that has the hottest woman, the guy that has the best physique and is the strongest out of everybody, then you know that being too high in the highs and being too low in the lows is one of the worst things for you. And I'll give you an example too. So this is a little story time about me me on my own fitness journey, right? It's pretty simple. I was a skinny, scrawny kid, and I wanted to get that David Lay transformation and build on a ton of muscle so that I can be looked at as respected and someone who was valuable, right? And I know a lot of people say that they don't care about what others people think and you shouldn't do things for the validation of other people, but I wanted to be seen as respected at least. Because if I was to be that, then I would be proud of myself. Obviously, most of my goals, fitness wise or in general, were for myself, but at the same time, it was for the people around me because I wanted to be somebody who they were able to depend on and look up to, right? I want to be looked up to in the sense of being a role model and someone who inspires. So that's exactly what it was. But I significantly remember this period during it, right? Like, I'd say I had 2 years of experience in the gym already. I've been running a push pull leg split, and I basically have been half assing it because I would go and have fun with friends, work out in groups, and like kind of just indulge in that gym community, and I was making the slowest progress ever, right? But at the time, I had a ton of passion. So I had the gym and I also had a weight training class. And in that class, it was necessary that every single week we maxed out on bench press. So we hit a personal record every single week. We would try to add 5 pounds to our bench press every week. And obviously, it wouldn't be like that. Sometimes you would gain 10 pounds of strength, sometimes you wouldn't move at all. So I remember that this certain time, I wasn't moving at all. And I got really angry about it. At this time, I wasn't on no strict diet. I was a I was a young man and I was taking advantage of my adolescent times to use my genetics to its full potential, right? If you know, you know. The newbie gains were, very helpful. And so I was hitting the gym and also having this weight training class, but I would make it my entire life to try to get to that next bench press PR, right? I loved bench pressing and I still do. Out of squatting, benching, and deadlifting, I prefer benching, and that's the only one that I do till this day, right? And so it was kind of my life at this moment. Like, I fully committed. I've got through it. I've got through the hard couple of weeks starting off, right? That was taken care of. I fully committed and I truly wanted to transform because I didn't like the way that I looked, you know? So at this time, I believe I just got past hitting 135 pounds on the bench press, right? And that's a plate, a huge milestone for me because that's a little bit over my body weight. At the time, I think I weighed literally 115 pounds as a high schooler, and I wanted to bench press 155 next, right? I got 135 pounds. Now it's time to do 155, which was the next milestone. And I remember for about 3 to even 4 weeks, I wouldn't move at all. Like, I would try it, I would fail it. I'd be able to do 150 pounds, but I couldn't get that 155 pounds. And that stuck with me. I was so angry about that. I was super passionate, especially because this is a class with multiple people and multiple groups. So you would always see people getting stronger and hitting their bench presses and feeling excited, or you would just see people like sitting there half-assing things or not really caring, right? But I would see a lot of people progressing while I was still being the same, and that hurt a lot. I didn't like that. I was like, hell no, I can't take this, right? But the thing is, I would blame it so much on myself. I would be like, what the heck am I doing wrong? I'm not doing enough every single time. Every single time that I watch Netflix and play the video games, I'm wasting my time. Like, what am I doing? Right? Because I wasn't on no strict regimen. All I was doing was making sure I show up to the gym, and that's it. I didn't realize that my meals and my fuel was a big part of the reason why I wasn't gaining strength. I didn't have the proper nutrition to support that. That's exactly why I was staying the same. But week after week, I wouldn't hit the number I wanted, and I would beat myself up about it. I'm like, bro, you're not enough. What are you doing, bro? Like, you have to be working harder. And I would tell myself all of these things, but I still wouldn't move because that type of talk to myself only kept me down. It only made it so that Netflix, the video games, felt so much more comfortable. And I started moving towards that. But I caught myself and I was like, hell no, I'm going to try to eat more. I'm going to try to practice my bench press at the gym after my class, right? We had this weight training class about 2 to 3 times a week, and I would go to the gym about 6 days a week at this time, following a push pull leg split. You should know what a push pull leg split is. It's push day, which is chest, shoulders, and tricep, pull day, which is back and biceps, and then a leg day. And then you repeat that, so 6 days a week, right? But I would try to always incorporate bench press on every single day, right? And that was working for a while until I was pretty much fatiguing myself and I wasn't properly getting the most out of my efforts. I had all of this passion, I had all of this anger, and I was trying to implement it into the gym, except I still wasn't really getting nowhere. I was moving either slow or not at all. But it was only until I stopped thinking that way, I started focusing on, what type of structure should I be doing that would be better? And so that I wouldn't be overworking myself. And so I followed this very low volume and high intensity way of strength training of like, I believe I did 5 sets, which sounds like a lot, but it was 5 sets of 5 reps or 3 reps. So I would just do extremely heavy weights and only do 3 repetitions, and that was it. A lot of rest time and a lot of trying to get used to heavier weights. And then once I got back into that weight room at school, I went crazy. I actually hit it, and I was like, holy smokes. That's exactly what happens when I actually focus on the structure and the system instead of continue to beat myself up about it. I have such a constant way of talking to myself in a negative like form, right? It's very habitual and I'm trying to work on that. Till this day, I still talk like that to myself. It's because I kind of wired my mind to thinking nobody's going to be hard on me except for me, right? And yeah, that kind of helped me at the start, but that wasn't something that was sustainable for me to stick to because the more I did it, the more I was used to that sort of talk, and the more it kind of just ruined my mood. It killed my motivation. And so, focusing on the systems and structure and looking at it through a positive lens instead was what actually helped me even more after that point. When you're starting off, of course, you're going to have to go through a lot of pain because you're not used to the gym, you're not used to eating clean, you're not used to any of that, right? Going to the gym hurts, right? It's going to hurt at the start. You're going to feel sore for a couple of weeks, and you're going to need that self-talk like, you need to do this, bro. You're going to have to go through this pain and suffer, right? And so that's fine. But if it's been 2 years and you're still doing that, that's kind of giving you the opposite effect, right? And so at some point, you should be shifting your mindset of looking at the progress, trying to tell yourself, you're doing good in this aspect, you should just do better in some aspects and continue to move forward. And so that's exactly how I should have been going. And when I saw that I changed and did that, I got that 155 pounds. I felt super good about myself, and I was able to continue to see results and scale my bench press to hitting 225 eventually, right? Which is sick. One of my biggest dreams as a high schooler. So yeah, this was an occurrence where I always talked down on myself. I would be very negative, and what this does is destroys your self-belief and your optimism for a future where you actually achieve your goals. This is super destructive. You need belief in order for you to achieve a goal. How can you expect others to think that you're able to do this? The doubters, like your parents, thinking that you're crazy for eating all this protein and food. The people who think you're excessive, the people who think you're obsessed with stuff. Yeah, those are the doubters. And how do you expect for them to believe if you don't even believe in yourself, right? And what kills your belief is when you talk to yourself that way. So if you're somebody who is trying to get to an exceptional goal, something that is very strenuous to get to, what are you doing with this self-talk about yourself? Maybe you fall off one day, but you've been putting in the work for 99% of the time. So why would you beat yourself up about that? You should at least be like, okay, I messed up now, but what can I do to at least take one step forward today at least? At least win the day by 1%, right? You shouldn't be like, man, what are you doing, bro? You messed up once again. You're always going to be this guy, because this keeps you going down a downward spiral. This never gets you anywhere. You talking this way to yourself gets you absolutely nowhere except to that version of yourself that you don't even like, right? That version of yourself who used to do that a lot. That version of yourself who always stayed down in the dumps and was never able to get out of that hole, right? That guy who indulged in his comforts and temptations, being lustful, playing video games and watching Netflix, and wasting his time not doing any high ROI activities. You don't want to be that person, so don't speak to yourself like you are that person. You are someone who can achieve those goals. You're somebody who has the capability. You need to focus on the structures and be logical instead of be so emotional, right? This emotional roller coaster that you're on, this logic applies to if you're high in the highs as well. And I want to get into that later. But if you're down in the dumps, you're going to stay there unless you change something about it. Like, how I like to picture things is everybody has this linear line where they are the most robotic, the most locked in. Imagine that specific week where you locked in on everything. Your dieting, your training, your habits, you were learning, you were trying to get better. That level of frequency, that's that line, right? You were the most emotionless. You were the most stoic, even. And all you did was focus on the work and you were super locked in. That's your line. But every single time you go downwards, you have nothing to really pick yourself back up, right? Because you continue to keep talking about yourself like that and you keep going down and down. And it takes so much time and so much effort to go back up to that line where you just eventually just stay there. You don't want that. You want to be as close to this line as possible. Same way with if you've achieved that. Let's say when I did hit 155 pounds, I was celebrating crazy and I was like, oh, I can finally rest now. And I'm just like hyping myself up so much thinking I'm that guy. I'm going to get humbled eventually, right? And I'm going to go even further down, right? That's not what you want. The more you are stoic, the more you are aligned with this version of yourself where you're just fully locked in and you focus on the inputs and not any emotional based like thinking, that's how you're able to be successful. Success is mundane. Success is supposed to be boring, right? You're just following the routine. You'll only be able to allow yourself to be celebrative and have that emotion is when you actually achieve the milestone. But that doesn't mean you get to celebrate your ass off, because it'll make it way harder for you to go back to that line, right? Maybe you'll go under that because you just fucked off for like a week or two and now you can't go back into it. This is what makes you on and off. You don't want that. What you want is consistency. This is the line of consistency. This is what you're aiming for. So what I'm trying to get at is the way that you talk to yourself, the way that you act, the way that you control your emotions plays a lot in the roles that have to do with you becoming successful, you getting that physique you want, you getting the girl you want, and you getting the life that you want in general, right? All of these things come from stoicism, discipline, and consistency. And I know these are all buzzwords, but like, bro, it's true. This is the literal formula. But every single time you beat yourself up about things, you celebrate way too long and way too much, all you're doing is just indulging in feelings, bro. Leave that to what kids do. Leave that to what other people do, not you, bro. You're trying to get to an exceptional goal. So you can't be so emotional, right? Emotions get you nowhere, but emotions are energy sources that you can use to fuel yourself towards your success, right? Put that into your routine. Put that into even more work that you can do to make yourself work faster and better, right? Stop indulging in it so much. Stop staying in there for too long, because the more you stay in the comforts, remember the times where you didn't like yourself at all. You were disgusted with yourself. Like, oh my gosh, I literally do nothing with my life. Like, I only go to work and then I go home and I do nothing. I just do these habits that I don't like. This is where you were the most comfortable because you didn't have much responsibility. You didn't really do anything. You weren't putting yourself in harder situations, challenging yourself to get better, and sharpening your iron. What you were doing was being comfortable. And that is exactly why you weren't able to go back into that stoic and locked in mindset. It's because you stayed there for too long. It's not bad to visit those times here and there, right? Maybe you do need a little pep talk, a little reality check. Maybe you do need to celebrate because you actually earned it. But that doesn't mean you stay there. Get back into the work. Get back into doing what you know you have to do to get to that 1% person that you want to become. And so I remember the most locked in times I've had, bro, was when I was so close to these lines. It was month after month where I was just focusing on the gym sessions. I was just like, okay, I'm getting better with lifts. I'm gonna keep doing what I'm doing. I'm eating 4 to 5 meals a day. I'm gonna keep eating. I'm going to just continue to do this every single day, and I'm never gonna stop. I'm gonna see how long I can actually do this. How long can I keep fighting? That's what I was thinking when I was getting the most results, because in that year, I changed my whole entire trajectory of where my physique was going. I built on crazy muscle. I benched 225 pounds in that same year. I was leg pressing like 7 plates on each side. What is that, 14? That's like 700 pounds as a high schooler, right? And it was because I was so in the routine. I was so mundane with it. My emotions didn't play an effect, but whenever I had any emotions, and most of them would derive from pain or negativity, I would just use that as fuel. Nothing else. I wouldn't beat myself up about it. I wouldn't put that onto others. I would put it into the routines, bro. I would put it into the systems, bro. And that's exactly how I operated. And this is what led me to my success physically, right? And now I maintain my dream physique. Like, I'm not the biggest, but I'm not the smallest, and I'm okay with the way I look. People still compliment me in real life, and I love that. And I'm at the stage where I'm trying to teach this to other people as well. I'm working with people one-on-one every single day, and I'm able to see that they're progressing as well because they are close to that line. They aren't getting too high in the highs. They aren't getting too lows in the lows. The only time where they're celebrating is when I tell them, I give them all their flowers. I'm like, hey, you deserve this, bro. You deserve this because you put in the work. But if they are falling off by even one day, I am on their ass about it, right? And I'm making sure that, bro, you have your goals. Remember what you told me about your goals at the start? You're not living up to that, bro. And I know you wanted me to help you because you knew you needed this accountability, and I'm here for it. And I'm telling you right now, get back on track, right? And so I'm that person for them, and they are becoming better because of it. Take this as a lesson, right? Be more like the me that was more routine oriented, and I'm very, very stoic. And I wasn't getting too high in the highs, wasn't getting too low in the lows. I Most of the time I was getting low in the lows, right? I was very negative with my mentality. Don't be that way. If you're someone who is like that, dude, you can't talk that way if you do want success. You need to understand, yes, I'm in pain. Yes, I feel sadness, depression, and all these things, but all this is just endless motivation for me to get better. That's it. Keep telling yourself that. This is all just motivation for me to get better. Continue to tell yourself that, and you will see progress. I promise you. And in 6 months from now, in 12 months from now, you're going to be a completely different person. As long as you stick to your routines, as long as you stick to your systems, and if you don't have systems, then be open to me helping you with that. I can give you my systems. I hope you all learn from my story, and I have a whole bunch of these. So if you guys want more, comment down below what you want to learn about. And if you like this, if you know that this is something that would help any of your friends, share it to them. Like this video. If you disliked it, then tell me why you disliked it, right? But I want to see all of this feedback. I don't care what it is. And so yeah, if you're struggling with this personally and you want to know the systems and you want me to be able to help you along your fitness journey, then book a call in the link in the description or message me on Instagram, and I'll reach back out to you and then qualify you to see if you are a good fit for us to work with each other. But if not, then continue to learn on my free knowledge on this YouTube channel or on my Instagram. And yeah, lock the heck in. You only have one life to live, and why wouldn't you spend it trying to become the best version of yourself? I'll see you guys in the next videos.